The way we shall fight the next pandemic on the continent will be clearly different from the way we are fighting this pandemic because of the remarkable progress that we are making in the vaccine production. So we are here, Excellency, to discuss 4 things. Provide you all with an update of the meeting, the progress we've made so far since April 12 and 13. We're also here to agree on an AU-endorsed approach for facilitating regulatory approval processes, which will be pathways, what we call potential pathways that we could use because of the speed at which the continent is moving in producing vaccines. Also discuss critical market shaping needs once countries begin to manufacture vaccines, and I'm very happy you heard from Excellency Mene. This is our situation. This is the situation we framed in April of this year. We said we import 99% of our vaccines, and next slide, and only manufacture 1% of our vaccines. About 12 million doses are manufactured in Africa, a continent of 1.2 billion people. Next slide. And the consequences of that is what we are dealing with today, and Dr. Tedros framed this very nicely. As we speak today, next slide, we as a continent have immunized fully just about 7% of our population. Can you just go forward, please? Yes, about 7% of our population.
Africa's challenges during the COVID pandemic in securing timely access to tests, therapeutics, and vaccines have served as a constant reminder that we need to be doing things for ourselves.
With nearly 9 million reported cases and 224,000 reported deaths across the continent, and with the Omicron variant rising, we as a continent must continue to effectively mobilize resources as quickly as possible to implement the African Union joint COVID-19 continental strategy to combat the pandemic and fortify the continental partnership for vaccine manufacturing.
The PANAF Partnerships for African Vaccine Manufacturing was established by the African Union this year to deliver a bold goal, namely enabling the African vaccine manufacturing industry to develop, produce, and supply over 60% of the total vaccine doses required on the continent by 2040, up from less than 1% today, with an interim goal of 10% by 2025 and 30% by 2030.
More than 80% of the world's vaccines have gone to G20 countries. Low-income countries, most of them in Africa, have received just 0.6% of all vaccines.
Comme le dit si bien un proverbe africain, si tu veux aller vite, marche seul. Mais si tu veux aller loin, alors marchons ensemble. En ce qui concerne la production des vaccins et des médicaments, l'Afrique devrait aller loin et vite. Aller loin et vite demande de développer rapidement des compétences, des capacités technologiques, ainsi que la mobilisation des ressources. Nous devons donc investir massivement dans la recherche.
This continent is representing almost 18% of the world population. But with, I can say, 25% of the disease burden in the world. So with less than 1% of the vaccine produced in our continent, less than 3% of the medicine we are consuming produced in this continent. So of course, we need to break this dependency. We need to reduce that one, and we cannot do it if we don't start reinforcing our regulatory system.
Producing vaccines on our continent is also an opportunity for trade and investment. That's why the presence here of the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade area secretariat is so crucial. Rwanda and Senegal have concluded agreements with the BioNTech to begin the end-to-end production of mRNA vaccines as early as next year. These doses cannot be distributed outside our continent, and there will be technology and knowledge transfer to African engineers and companies. Through its mRNA tech transfer hub in South Africa, the World Health Organization is working with the South African companies to build a valuable knowledge base for our continent. These and other initiatives underway in various countries are evidence of a strong momentum which must be supported and sustained. Because of this terrible pandemic, an opportunity has been created to fundamentally change the pharmaceutical production landscape on our continent. This window will not stay open forever. Now is the time to act decisively and quickly together as Africa and also globally.
We kindly ask everyone else to remain in your room for the next session, which will be starting shortly.